You read the text, and then you read it again. Your friend cancelled. The reason seems clear. She's overwhelmed. But a second, darker thought immediately surfaces, uninvited. She's overwhelmed because of me. Did I say something wrong yesterday? Am I too much? Maybe she just doesn't want to see me. It's my fault. This is the voice of self-blame. For many of us, this voice isn't just a visitor. It's a permanent resident. It's the background noise to our lives. A constant, low-level hum that insists we are responsible for the rain. That we are the reason for a friend's bad mood, a project's failure, or a partner's silence. But what if this voice isn't the voice of reason? What if it's not taking responsibility? What if it's a psychological trap? A cognitive distortion so subtle and so powerful that it's been running your life without you even knowing it. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on one of the mind's most painful illusions: chronic self-blame. We'll explore why your brain is wired to default to guilt, and how you can, finally, break free. Let's begin. First, let's be absolutely clear. This is not a video about avoiding responsibility. Healthy responsibility is essential. It's the ability to look at a mistake you genuinely made. You were late, you broke a promise, you hurt someone, and say, I did that and I need to make it right. Healthy guilt, in this case, is a pro-social emotion. It's a compass that points us back toward our values. It motivates us to apologize, to repair, and to learn. It's a force for connection. Pathological guilt is something else entirely. It's a poison. It's the feeling of responsibility for things you have no control over. It's apologizing for taking up space. It's feeling guilty for having needs. It's the profound, unshakable belief that you are, at your core, a burden or a problem. There's another crucial distinction to make, one that psychologist Brené Brown has spent her career defining: the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt, she says, is I did something bad. It focuses on the action. Shame is I am something bad. It focuses on the self. Chronic self-blame lives in a toxic grey area, blurring the two. It starts with the false premise of guilt, I must have done something wrong, and concludes with the crushing verdict of shame, therefore, I am a bad person. The engine running this entire destructive process? A series of mental bugs, glitches in our operating system known as cognitive distortions. These are the real villains of our story. They are the mechanisms that warp reality, that take a neutral event and paint it as your personal failure. And to understand how to fix these bugs, we first have to understand where they came from. The code wasn't written by you, it was programmed into you. Our mind is an association machine. It learns from experience, and for the chronic self-blamer, the early experiences were often a masterclass in misplaced responsibility. Consider the critical parent blueprint. If you grew up with a caregiver who was consistently critical, demanding, or perfectionistic, your young brain had to find a way to survive. You learned that love and approval were conditional. They were given only when you performed perfectly. More importantly, you learned that when something went wrong, when a parent was angry, stressed, or upset, it was your job to manage that emotion. If mum was sad, it was because you were too loud. If dad was angry, it was because you didn't get a perfect grade. You became a feelings detective, constantly scanning the environment for signs of displeasure. immediately assuming you were the cause. Your core survival strategy became, if I can just be perfect, everyone will be okay. If they are not okay, it is my fault. This also manifests in a phenomenon called parentification. This is where the roles are reversed. The child is forced to become the emotional caretaker for the adult. You were the mediator, the peacemaker, the confidant. You were a child carrying the emotional weight of an adult. The lesson you learned was devastatingly simple. My needs don't matter. Only the needs of others do. It is my job to fix them. And so, decades later, when a colleague is in a bad mood, your 30-year-old brain defaults to that 8-year-old survival code. Fix it. It must be your fault. This childhood blueprint creates the perfect breeding ground for cognitive distortions. These are the specific lies the self-blamer's brain tells itself over and over until they feel like truth. The first and most powerful is personalization. Personalization is the belief that everything people do or say is some kind of direct personal reaction to you. You walk past a group of co-workers who are laughing and they quiet down. The healthy brain thinks their conversation ended. The self-blaming brain thinks they were just laughing at me. Personalization is the spotlight effect, believing you are the main character in everyone else's story as the villain. Next comes emotional reasoning. This one is insidious. Emotional reasoning is the assumption, if I feel it, it must be true. I feel guilty. Therefore, I am guilty. I feel like a failure. Therefore, I am a failure. I feel unlovable. Therefore, I am unlovable. This distortion short-circuits all logic. It doesn't matter if there is zero evidence that you did anything wrong. The feeling of guilt becomes all the evidence you need. It's a closed loop, a perfect circle of self-punishment. Finally, we have the distortion that partners with personalization, mind reading. Mind reading is the certainty that you know what others are thinking, especially about you. And, of course, you assume they are thinking the worst. My boss was short with me in that email. She thinks I'm incompetent. He hasn't texted back in an hour. He's bored of me. You don't just suspect these things. You know them. You've already held the trial, presented the fabricated evidence, and delivered the guilty verdict, all within your own mind. Personalization, emotional reasoning, and mind reading. This is the unholy trinity of the self-blaming mind. But there's one more route, perhaps the most surprising of all. This is the central paradox of self-blame. We think it's a sign of weakness, but in a strange, twisted way, it's an attempt to gain power. The world is chaotic, random, unfair. Terrible things happen for no reason. People leave, accidents occur, pandemics spread. This randomness is terrifying. The self-blaming mind finds a solution. It's a solution that psychiatrist Dr. Irvin Yalom touched on. The mind will choose a comforting lie over a painful truth. The painful truth is, this is a terrible, chaotic situation, and I am powerless to stop it. The comforting lie is, this is all my fault. Why is that a comfort? Because if it's your fault, it means you had control. It means you could have done something differently. If it's your fault, it means you're not just a victim of chaos. You were a participant. People who survive great tragedies, car crashes, natural disasters, often report an obsessive search for what they did wrong. If only I had left 5 minutes later. If only I had checked the weather one more time. This isn't vanity. This is a desperate psychological maneuver to maintain the belief that the world is an orderly, controllable place. If I just blame myself, the subconscious whispers, I can pretend that I am not, in fact, powerless. It is the ultimate illusion of control. You would rather be the guilty driver of your own destiny than a blameless passenger of chaos. Finally, this trap is often set for the most conscientious among us, the high achievers, the good people. If your identity is built on being the responsible one, the good student, the reliable employee, or the perfect friend, then any outcome that is not perfect feels like a direct threat to your entire sense of self. This is the shadow side of imposter syndrome. You're so afraid of being found out as a fraud or as a bad person that you overcorrect. You take the blame for everything as a preemptive strike. By always being the first to apologize, you control the narrative. You're not a bad person who is blamed by others. You are a good person who is accountable. See the difference? It's a shield, but it's a shield that weighs 1,000 pounds, and you can never, ever put it down. So, what happens when this guilty operating system runs, unchecked, for decades? The consequences are not just psychological, they are neurological. Chronic self-blame is a state of chronic, low-grade stress. This means your body is in a constant fight-or-flight state. Your adrenal glands are pumping out cortisol, the stress hormone. Getty Images. Research in neuroscience shows that chronic stress can physically change your brain. It hypersensitizes the amygdala, your brain's fear center. This makes you even more likely to perceive threats where there are none, like in a neutral email from your boss. At the same time, it weakens the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain responsible for emotional regulation and logical decision-making. You are, quite literally, strengthening the part of your brain that panics and weakening the part that can calm you down. This leads to the social fallout. The first casualty is decision paralysis. When every potential wrong move is a catastrophe, the safest option is to make no move at all. You agonize over simple choices: what to wear, what to say, what to eat. You research a simple purchase for weeks. You're not trying to find the best option. You're trying to find the only option you can't be blamed for. The second casualty is your relationships. You might think that always blaming yourself would make you easy to be around, but it's the opposite. It's exhausting for the people who love you. Your friends and partners are forced into the constant role of reassurer. No, of course I'm not mad at you. No, it's really not your fault. No, you're not a burden. Eventually, this dynamic can curdle. They may grow frustrated at having to constantly manage your guilt, or worse, they may start to believe you. You've taught them, through your constant apologies, that you are the problem. You've become so low maintenance that you've made yourself invisible. This is the end game of chronic self-blame. Burnout, anxiety, depression, and a profound, crushing loneliness. It's the trap perfected. This is a heavy topic. We've just navigated the problem, and it can feel like a lot. And if you're finding this exploration of the mind valuable, if you appreciate this kind of deep dive content, consider subscribing to the channel. We post videos like this every week, helping you understand the why behind your thoughts and giving you the tools to build a better mind. Now, we've defined the trap. Let's talk about how to build the escape hatch. So, how do we get out? If the trap was built piece by piece. It can be unbuilt piece by piece. This is not a quick fix. This is a process of rewiring. It requires courage, patience, and a new kind of responsibility. The first step is simply to notice. You cannot change a pattern you are not aware of. The next time you feel that familiar, hot stomach drop of guilt, pause. Don't act. Don't apologize. Don't ruminate. Just pause. And in that pause, get curious. Name the voice. Ah, there it is. That's my guilt script. By naming it, you create separation. You are no longer in the feeling. You are observing the feeling. You are moving from the emotional, reactive amygdala to the thoughtful, observing prefrontal cortex. Awareness is the antidote to automation. Once you've paused, you become a detective. You are looking for cold, hard, objective evidence, not feelings, evidence. A psychologist named David Burns calls this the courtroom technique. You are both the prosecutor and the defense attorney. The prosecutor, your self-blame, says, "My friend cancelled. It's my fault. I'm too needy." The defense attorney, your new rational self, must cross-examine. Where is the evidence for that? Did she say, "You are too needy"? No. Is it possible she is just overwhelmed, exactly like her text said? Yes. What evidence do you have that you aren't to blame? Well, we had a great time last week, and she's been stressed about her work project. You are looking for facts, not interpretations. 99% of the time, you will find that your case for self-blame is built entirely on the cognitive distortions we talked about: personalization, mind reading, and emotional reasoning. This is the most important step. This is the soul of the work. For years, you have used the voice of an inner critic to motivate yourself. You believed that if you were just harder on yourself, you would finally be good enough. It hasn't worked. All it has done is make you miserable. The antidote to self-blame is not self-esteem. It is self-compassion. Dr. Kristin Neff, a leading researcher on this, breaks it down into 3 parts. 1. Mindfulness. That's the pause we just talked about. 2. Common humanity. This is the understanding that everyone makes mistakes. Everyone is imperfect. You are not alone in your suffering. Your failures don't make you uniquely broken. They make you human. 3. Self-kindness. This is the active part. When you are caught in a spiral of guilt, ask yourself one question. What would I say to a dear friend who was in this exact situation? You would never say, "You're right, Sarah. You probably are a terrible, needy person, and it's all your fault." You would say, "I'm so sorry you're feeling this way. You are a kind and generous person. It's okay to make mistakes. This one feeling does not define you." Now, what if you practice saying that to yourself? This is not letting yourself off the hook. This is treating yourself with the same basic kindness you afford to strangers. It is the only thing that truly stops the cycle of shame. Finally, you must redefine responsibility. Chronic self-blame comes from having no boundaries. You believe you are responsible for everything. The cure is to define what you are actually responsible for. You are responsible for your own actions, your own words, your own intentions, how you repair things when you actually make a mistake. You are not responsible for other people's feelings, other people's reactions, other people's choices, the weather, the traffic, the economy. Understanding this difference is the final key. It's the moment you stop trying to manage the entire world and instead focus on simply managing yourself with kindness. Let's go back. Your friend cancels. Hey, so sorry. I have to rain check tonight. Feeling overwhelmed. The old script begins. It's my fault. But now you have new tools. You pause. Mindfulness. You observe the voice. There's that old story. You check the evidence. Courtroom. The text says she is overwhelmed. There is no evidence this is about me. You remember your shared humanity. Compassion. It's so hard to be overwhelmed. I know that feeling. And it's human to feel a moment of rejection. And then you practice kindness. Self-kindness and boundaries. Instead of spiraling into a vortex of guilt, you take a breath. You are not responsible for her feelings, but you are responsible for your actions as a friend. And you type, no problem at all. Take care of yourself. Let's catch up when you're free. And for the first time, you mean it. This journey from self-blame to self-compassion is a personal one. We've talked about a lot today, from childhood blueprints to the illusion of control. I want to hear from you. Which of the 4 routes we discussed resonated most with you? Let us know your story in the comments below. Reading the experiences of others isn't just data, it's a powerful collective reminder of our common humanity. Breaking the cycle of self-blame isn't about becoming perfect. It's not about never feeling guilty again. It's about learning the difference between what is yours to carry and what is not. It's about putting down the weight of the world and picking up, instead, the power of your own compassion. It's about, finally, giving yourself permission to be free.